There's a Pokémon episode that's never been seen, never been heard, until now. It's a lost episode of Pokémon, and it's coming to Kids WB. Don't miss it. The lost episode of Pokémon next weekend.
The Pokémon anime has some really insane episodes, from a gym leader turning Brock and Misty into dolls, to a Magikarp jumping so high it went into space. But some episodes are insane for the amount of censorship or banning the episode had for any amount of time. And this episode today, what I'm going to be talking about is no exception. Today I'm going to be talking about the so-called Lost Episode of Pokémon, Season 1, Episode 18, Beauty and the Beach. Now, before you click off this video, because you already may have know about it, or, know the banning, this video is going to be a bit deeper than you may have been told. Now, let's start from the beginning. No, not that far back. Here we go. The Pokémon anime began on April 1st, 1997, to great ratings after the hype of the video games created. To say it was a success would be an understatement. It was airing every Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. Japan Standard Time before the schedule changed to Thursday nights, but that's a whole nother story on its own. It was an instant hit among children especially. Now, fast forward 18 weeks and we arrive at this episode in Japan called Holiday at Alpuco. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's really hard to pronounce in my opinion, just reading it. Which aired on July 29th, 1997. While we don't have a TV ratings from the month of July 1997 for the Pokémon anime, we do have June's. In June 1997, the anime had a 14% TV rating in Japan at the time. Now, on this day in Pokémon history, Pokémon Crystal was released in the US, Koopa and the Clash of Ages Japanese soundtrack was released, the 25th episode of Sun and Moon aired in the US, Pokémon Water War aired in Japan, and many more episodes to follow. This episode aired in the United States twice on June 24th, 2000, and on this day in Pokémon history, the 648th episode of Pokémon aired in Japan in 2010, and Mystery at the Lighthouse aired in Japan in 1997. This episode also aired in the US on August 18th, 2000, and then was never shown again, but more on that later. This episode was written by Hideki Sonoda, the storyboarder was Toshiyaki Tsuzuki, and the animation director was Keshi Sakai, and the key animation was done by Masaki Iwane and others. Here's some things I'd like to mention before we start to the episode plot. I think the thing that stands out to me with this episode is, other than all the fan service beach stuff, is of course how incredibly weak its plot is. Basically, Satoshi and his friends steal a boat from some gross old pedophile and then wreck it, and so help pay the repairs and end up breaking multiple child labor laws and getting part-time jobs at this beach hut. Then also, the lecherous owner has an outstanding debt with the neighboring establishment, and somehow, for some reason, has the money to pay back the following day. And so the old man and the young children he illegally employed and throw together a beauty contest, all within a matter of hours, in order to drive up business at their little snack stand. The Rocket Trio attacks and are defeated, but by that point the episode is almost over, and with so much money to lender out of the picture, the soldier decides Ryu is freed from his debt. The end. And the English version also has a lot to talk about. This episode, in the English version, is a lost episode. Now, what does the word lost episode mean? This is a term you hear used for shows from the early days of television to refer to TV episodes that aired once or twice, maybe even were then considered such a low commercial and historical value that the networks decided to air them and destroyed the tapes in order to make room for newer shows. We know that isn't what actually happened, but there are a number of telltale signs that show that this exactly wasn't dubbed in 1998 along with the rest of Season 1. In this episode, Maddie Blaustein is voicing Meowth, and who is his second voice actor. If Beauty and the Beach had been dubbed in order along with the rest of Kanto, then the character would still be played by Nathan Price. Veronica Taylor would also be playing Ash with a somewhat lower tone voice at this point in the series, but in this episode she plays him with a comparatively higher pitch than what she would develop throughout Season 2 and the rest of the series. The song Pokémon World, the opening theme to the Orange Islands portion of Season 2, is used as a background piece at one point of this episode. That song wouldn't have not existed back in 1998. And the following episode, Tentacool and Tentacruel, removes all references to the characters and events of this episode, something that wouldn't have happened and wouldn't be necessary if the dub of Beauty and the Beach existed in the dub back then. Now, let's dive into the Japanese version of this episode. Satoshi and his friends arrive in a seaside resort island. Wasting no time, Satoshi, Takeshi, and Pikachu change into their swimming trunks and jump into the ocean. Kasumi shows up in her bikini, leaving the boys stunned. Satoshi makes a snide comment at Kasumi looking like a real girl, even though what she usually wears is a crop top, suspenders, and short shorts. But, whatever. Meanwhile, Team Rocket are in their Gyarados submarine and spies on the beachgoers from their underwater vantage point. They decide to steal the money from wealthy tourists. Suddenly, Jessie notices a speedboat heading in their direction. The boat is piloted by Satoshi, who thought Takeshi borrowed it because Pikachu was on the boat. Or, more accurately, thought Takeshi borrowed it because he had some pretty rich friends or something. The boat collides with the sub, making it sink, and eventually crashes into a dock. Ryu, the owner of the boat, comes out to survey the damage. Satoshi and his friends volunteer to work and help pay the cost of repairing the boat and the dock, and Ryu agrees to this. Oh, by the way, I definitely did not skip over a really creepy line that I definitely won't get to later. Meanwhile, Team Rocket's submarine has washed up onto a private beach, and they are greeted by a woman named Obaba. James asks if they can work for her restaurant to help pay the repairs for the sub, and she agrees. Later, it is revealed that both Ryu and Obaba are restaurateurs and rivals. For a while, Obaba's restaurant has more customers, and Team Rocket taunts Satoshi and his friends over this. Satoshi decides to have his Pokémon help out as well. Zenigame and Pikachu told to hand out flyers, advertising reviews. Pigeon, Pidgeotto's Japanese name is literally the English for pigeon, just letting you know. Pigeon and Hitokage help keep the grill going in the kitchen. Fukushidane is assigned to help Kasumi with the waitressing. However, Meowth sabotages everything, sending the flyers flying, spraying oil on the stove, and throwing banana peels onto the floor to trip up Kasumi and Fukushidane. Honestly, I have no idea how they missed this and why they didn't notice it was on the floor, but waiters gotta serve. This causes the customers to leave Ryu's restaurant for Obaba's Ocean Chateau. Later, Obaba arrives with Team Rocket and tells Ryu that she needs to pay off his debt by the next day, otherwise she will take his boat as payment. Ryu is despondent and he does not think he will have the money by then. He had planned to take a world cruise in his boat. Yeah, I don't think that's really happening. It's a really small boat, not really much resources. Anyways, Satoshi then righteously encourages him to not give up on his dreams. Then they encounter Professor Okido and Satoshi's mother, Hanako. Professor Okido explains that the Beach Beauty and Pokemon costume contest is set to start shortly. He suggests handing out flyers to the audience. He also recommends that Kasumi enter to win some prize money that can be used to help out Ryu. Because of course, a lot of people want to see a 10-year-old girl in a bikini going out in a swimsuit contest. Of course. That's sarcastically. I'm serious, that is really creepy. These writers need to calm it down. Satoshi sends out Pigeon, who blankets the beach and town with flyers. Soon, Ryu's restaurant is full again, much to Obaba's dismay. As the contest begins, Ryu sits with Hanako and Okido. He explains that how Satoshi encouraged him to never give up on his dream. Hanako then says she and Professor are there in town with the Masra Town Volunteer Patrol. The contest begins with Takeshi as the announcer, because this episode is really pointless, The writers didn't really think much. They didn't want to have actual judges, they were rushing over time. They just thought, they weren't thinking about actual, plots or, judges or whatever. They were just thinking, sexiness, we want to see that. Okay, anyways, the contest begins with Takeshi as an announcer. Kasumi is the first contestant. What a way to start off, keeping people going. Okay, I know I would turn off the TV if I were to see that.
This is Misty, the lovely and talented water Pokemon trainer.
So Kasumi is the first contestant, and she uses her Starmie and Satoji Zenigami to form a UFO, and she makes a really big splash. Anyways, that's the end for today. Bye! Okay, that actually isn't the end of this video. That's the end of this part of the episode that we're going to be doing, because next time we're going to move on to the rest, why it was banned, and my complaints, and much more. So, see you next time. Bye.
This is Ash Ketchum. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.